Hello.
Hi, Rebecca, it's Beatrice.
Hi, Beatrice. It's Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in my thickest jumper, and
Excellent.
it's got a roll neck that I can put, if I pull it up, it goes over my entire head.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
Yeah, sometimes that's very helpful. If you just want to block out everything, you can
Well,
just pull up your roll
but be
neck.
be aware if you're doing it because I was once at a party and Adrian was the other side of the room and I was with this person that I was really just thinking you are the most dreadful person I've ever met. And
Oh
Adrian said
no.
I was starting to pull my jumper up over my head without realizing I was
Oh,
doing it.
really?
Yes, because I had one that was like an off-the-shoulder jumper, but it could fold up and be like a cowl neck.
Oh, wow.
So it had a lot of extra fabric. And this was someone who went on and on and on and on and on in a monotone.
Oh, usually I'm the person who gets landed with
Well,
someone like that at a party.
well, this jumper will help you because clearly, without realizing it, I was pulling it over my head for safety.
The thing is, if I do that, I also then think I'm invisible because I can't see anything. So that's the other thing to bear in mind, that people can still see you even if you can't see anything. It's a life lesson, a life lesson.
It is a life lesson. It's really important to
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
That's like in the Bling Ring girl who said about it's a learning lesson.
Oh,
And it is a learning lesson, I
yeah, it's a
think.
learning lesson. Yeah.
Well, two, be aware of your sartorial gestures at parties.
Yeah.
And then also, you're not invisible if you pull your polo neck over your head.
Yeah.
I feel enriched already.
Yeah,
We've
we
only
could
just
stop
started
right
talking.
there. Yeah.
I know. That's so much wisdom.
Yeah.
Well, marvelous. I have no such. Well, actually, I do. I bought this thing that is called a shacket,
What?
which Adrian is taking the mickey out of a lot. Not the garment. The garment is very, very nice, but it's a shirt jacket.
Ah, yeah, I saw one at and other stories they had one which I really liked,
Yeah,
but I didn't go for
this is
it.
Ray, which I really love their clothes. And I just thought, well, you know what I'm like. I just thought, it's another layer. It's another
Yeah,
gorgeous layer.
but I
And
didn't know that's what it was called.
yeah, I think I'm not going. I'm telling you this for
Yeah,
your dress history information,
yeah,
but I'm not going to call it that out in the public realm
yeah.
because I don't think it's the best word.
It's just not a nice sounding word, I guess.
Mm-mm,
Yeah,
no. And I think let's just if you're wearing it, I think it will be a jacket for me because it's huge, which I also like that it was massively oversized. So I'm thinking 24 layers underneath can be worn.
yeah.
It's just going to be a jacket for me. I'm not worrying about the whole shirt scenario.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. I'll agree.
Let's just do that.
Yeah, I'll fall in line with that.
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent. So yes, that's my wisdom for you.
Good. Thank you.
Keep the words separate.
Okay, will do. Will do.
Okay. And then I think we've both watched the same film.
Yes, I watched it last night. Thanks for suggesting it.
And is it just called Halston?
I think it's just called Halston, yeah.
Well, it should be because Halston's just called Halston.
Yeah.
Even there's a Roy and a Frowick to throw in there, really.
So that was the first thing I need to ask you, because I came from a point of knowing very, very little.
Okay.
I'd seen images of, his work and him, but I really didn't know very much. So Halston is one of his first names, is that right?
I'm not sure if it's like a family name, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
Yes, his full name is Roy Halston Frowick.
Frowick, yeah.
Yeah, Frowick is the surname.
Yeah.
But because he's like Cher or Madonna status, he's Halston.
Halston, yeah.
And the brand is Halston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this, I don't know what you call it, like the story within the story thing, or...
I felt that was over-egging the pudding. Because God bless Tammy Gevinson,
yes.
but there are better things she can do with her life than do that, I think. Because having her as like an archivist, but it's all like done as though it's like a film noir kind of PI thing. And it's just about who wiped the archival tapes of his shows, and they know who did it.
Yeah.
It's not a very big mystery, and
I know.
It kind of takes you out of what you're watching. Because
when it started, I really liked the way it started with the colours and the flowers. Really I'm not the biggest fan of orchids, but that's just me. But I did like it in the film.
Yeah.
And then when it started, like you say, like a film noir, because I didn't know anything much, I thought there was something that was going to be uncovered that hadn't been uncovered before. And I thought, oh, well, that's quite interesting that they make it a bit, bit like a crime thing. But then, like you say, it isn't anything, from what I can gather, that it hasn't been known already.
And sadly, there's probably more designers from that era whose archives have been destroyed than kept, because people didn't value them.
No.
I mean, they didn't value the archives, not that they didn't value the person. I've heard so many horror stories of people finding things in skips which were just chucked out from various places. So although it's terrible to us now, it wouldn't necessarily have been that terrible at the time.
No. I mean, if you think of Ossie Clark, who's a sort of contemporary, I guess.
Yeah.
The only footage I've ever seen is the one in this David Hockney, the film about the splash, is it called, or a bigger splash?
Oh, right.
There's a little bit of footage from an Ossie Clark show in that, which is amazing. It's but I think that's probably, I might be wrong, but I think there isn't that much more.
No, I mean, so many people just didn't even think. It's really quite a recent phenomenon that designers have thought that most designers have thought I should keep an archive.
Yeah.
Like, unless it was a couture house.
But also it would have been VHS, so even if they had kept it, but if they hadn't kept it really, really well, maybe wouldn't have survived anyway. It's just VHS is a difficult thing to keep. Yeah, so But
I thought there were lots, like, given that so much stuff has been destroyed, I thought there were a lot of really, really great clips. It's very much just positive about him, although it does say about, being tantrumy at certain points.
Yes.
But I mean, I do think his clothes are amazing. Yeah. And I think those clips, the ones that I was most entranced by, were when he's at the Olympic Tower.
Yeah.
And you have those amazing, like, floor-to-ceiling
incredible
windows, and then the models, because the models are so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, every single one, you just think, oh my God, you're so beautiful, and you're moving so amazingly, and the clothes are moving so amazingly. And I feel that there's something so Halston, like, ironically, given how awful and how bad it all turned when he was there, there's something quintessentially Halston about that kind of money, flash, but also really restrained and elegant.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's quite because I was about to say there are a lot of shiny things, but in some ways that's not true, because I think all the fabrics, well, there is sometimes a bit of lurex, but the fabrics, while vibrant, are not necessarily shiny. It's just
No, it's like he does some amazing things with sequins, particularly for Liza Minnelli. But I feel it's like that kind of very expensive clothing that you kind of have to know enough to know why to buy it, rather than just obviously I am displaying a lot of money. I have to say, I mean, I've always loved Elsa Peretti, but loved her even more from the interview with her. That is so good.
Yeah, no, I instantly looked up her jewelry and thought, can I buy something? Yeah.
I love her. I love her jewelry. I love that picture of her at her desk at Halston. She's just amazing. So she was brilliant. And there are some great interviews with the models and like with Liza Minnelli, who I salute her as a very, resolute best friend there. That was good. Friending, I felt.
That was so good when she said she wasn't going to talk, but the way also she did it, the way she said it, she said it with a smile and then a wink, and we appreciate good best friending.
She's amazing, and
Yeah.
that was all good. I find it kind of it's so because he's so sort of elusive within all of
Yes.
it, though. I mean, obviously because he's not with us anymore, which
Mm.
is very, very awful, and also what happened at the end
Yeah.
of his fashion career is so awful. But he's like, I read a thing in the New York Times about how he's like Andy Warhol in a way, and just in that way that he seems like this figure watching all these things going on, and probably he was involved in everything that was going on. Of course he was, but at the same time he seems like the detached observer, kind of overseeing it and supervising it.
Yeah, supervising or orchestrating or choreographing.
Yeah.
That, for instance, yeah, well, I didn't know anything, but I thought that was really interesting, also at the end when his niece said they organized a family reunion, but even that had to be orchestrated, and everyone got white shirts for one thing and everyone got another outfit for another.
It was like they had to become Halstonettes as well.
That's true, yeah, very much.
Because it's fascinating how he comes from being a milliner, because I really like that, because that's like the old school, lady way to get, like the Chanel era way to get into fashion.
And I think that there are quite a few other people, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, where that happens. And that he said at Bergdorf Goodman did he say he had something like 150 milliners under him?
Well, they said that, and I thought, oh my God, can that really be true? But I suppose if all the sort of women wore hats, then you'd need quite a number of hats.
Yes.
And you'd need someone to store them.
Yes, true. I love the clip of Barbara Streisand in the millinery department.
Yes.
That was really great.
That was really good. And I find it fascinating, the kind of global identity of Halston. Like, I don't know, like when he takes all his Halstonettes to China, which seems like a kind of nightmare in practical terms, and it seems like emotional terms for how it sounds, but just so fascinating and weird. And I feel it was kind of very, very problematic in numerous ways. This kind of, we are taking American vision and here it is, everyone, and watch it. And it was so kind of alien to have models doing modelly things and catwalking in factories. It's very strange in the way, but kind of so compelling. There's like something so visually compelling about his clothes and the way the models present them. And I do like how connected the models are to the clothes, and to his vision.
I also got, and that's one thing I would have liked to have had more of, but I can see why that wasn't there. But you really felt he was appreciating the people who worked for him in the workroom, for instance, to give them a beautiful workroom with, lots of windows. But that was, I think that could have been more explicit. I obviously got it because there were also quite a lot of photos where he was with people from the workroom, the whole group together. And then also it just reminded me when you were talking about China, because when he was in China, you could also tell he was appreciative of the people who were working in the factories. Yeah. And I just would have liked to have seen more of how he worked, because I felt...
Exactly.
Because I felt this... He obviously seems to be draping things, but then he ends up with these amazing patterns that... if you drape something on a body and then you take it off, you don't have that kind of pattern. You then must do something else. And maybe that would have been too technical, but I would. But
I think there's a really great book that has Halston patterns, like where it's a circle of fabric and then a circle for your head and slits for your arms. But because it's cut a certain way, it flows really amazingly once it's on the body. And it has like the pictures of the patterns in the book, because I thought they might have more of Patricia Mears from FIT, who's done so much work on him, because it was really fascinating what she was saying about when Charles James worked there, that he was too much trying to kind of fix the clothes on the body, whereas Halston is the opposite of that. But then other people in New York have also said to me, which is clearly true, but what other people in New York have also said to me is he really helped in terms of pattern making, of making Halston understand what you can do with a pattern. I don't know if that's true, but that's what more than one person actually has said to me. But yeah, it would have been good to kind of dig deeper into his working process and because I suppose the trouble is, not the trouble, but like there's such a compelling narrative with him that he comes out of Iowa, he's a milliner, he becomes this superstar, and gets associated with such kind of luxurious, rich, famous people. And I think it's like that combined with then what happens with Studio 54, with his salon on the Upper East Side, and then, you know, everything that happens with JCPenney and the kind of buyout. It's like it's just so sort of filmic and it's like the sort of worst kind of fairy tale that ends in absolute disaster. And I think it means, I mean, a bit like the way that Chanel is written about so much, but very rarely in a fascinating way about the actual work itself.
That's true.
I think it's like that. Somehow it kind of gets lost because of all the swirling gossip and intrigue and everything else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, what did you think? Because I found, like, I feel like I don't know JCPenney well enough to understand everything.
Yeah,
like,
I
don't know what the British equivalent to JCPenney would be.
Yeah, and if there even is one, I don't really know. The only little bit I know about JCPenney is that Mary Quant, you know, she did a line for them as well.
Oh, did she? That's fascinating, because you really get the feeling that Halston working with JCPenney was the first time ever that they'd gone into fashion. That's we need to know more.
Yeah, that's actually what they say in the film. They say it's the first time a designer worked with JCPenney. I don't know, I should know this more, but I don't know how much it was sort of built up as a Quant line, but I think it was. I think it definitely was named. She wasn't just an unnamed designer, and that was quite a bit before. But maybe that's
so interesting.
Yeah, but
do you
maybe
think he was the first American designer?
I suspect he was the first American designer, and I also think it's just he's sort of almost more on the couture end, isn't he? I don't know.
Well, I suppose he was so much associated with the social elite and the glamour of Studio 54, and he sold at Bergdorf's and everything. But I do wonder, like, it really seemed that whole kind of gruesome section of the film that's so compelling about the way he gets associated. He's with JCPenney, he's with this enormous conglomerate, and it's just such a clash of cultures that it's clear that each one thinks they can use the other one, but actually they can't. Because, like, I found it a bit icky the way that they, like, made that man from the corporation a crown and stuff, and how influenced the man was with, you know, fashion zhuzhiness. And you felt like they thought, oh, we can just keep him happy and keep doing what we're doing and make the money. And actually no, because the corporateness of it all is too controlling and overpowering.
Yeah, and I think I felt I needed to read more or read anything about what exactly happened, because on the one hand he was taken over by a corporation, and it sounded like he was quite keen on that because it would bring in more money and he could do licensing, and that it sounded like that's something he wanted to do. But then it seemed like the JCPenney was even for the corporation too much in a way.
Well, it's really fascinating, isn't it? Because, I mean, I'm super interested that you say Mary Quant did something with them, because now I want to know who else was involved, if anyone, designer-wise. But also it felt like it was the way it was done that sent it wrong, because didn't he sign for like a 5-year contract with them? And you feel maybe he should have just done one capsule collection.
Yeah.
And he designed it himself, which seems wonderful, the idea you could buy actual Halston designed at JCPenney.
And they looked great.
Oh my God, I really wanted them.
Yeah.
But is a good way to start a meltdown if you're trying to design every single thing.
Yeah.
But it seemed as well like, I don't know, like the way he presented it at the Natural History Museum, and it was this huge, it was like one of his normal catwalks, in that it was a big production and very, very fantastical. And then the Bergdorf's man sees that and cancels, which is haute snootiness. But at the same time, it's like maybe they shouldn't have presented it that way. They should have presented it in JCPenney stores. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's this, It's like it hadn't been smoothed out yet how you do that kind of collaboration.
Yeah, and I think also the gap between high and low fashion was just bigger, and you didn't mix, whereas now that's quite normal. And
Yeah.
so I think that was also different.
Can you hear Coda? He clearly thinks there's a problem with the mixing of high and low fashion.
Oh, okay.
He's woofing at all of this. He agrees with you very much. Yeah, no, I think you're right, because I mean, a bit later in the 80s, people were really promoting diffusion lines like DKNY and Junior Gautier. And obviously there have been not collaborations, which I mean licensing deals with couture houses for decades and decades before this. And Pierre Cardin kind of blew his business to an extent by over licensing.
Yes.
So clearly it's something you have to be very canny about and very kind of, really not oversee literally every design, but really think strategically about where you're positioning yourself and how much you're giving out to the universe.
And maybe also, I guess this sort of people understand maybe more now about brand and brand values and brand image, and how you have to somehow keep that up, and you can do other things, but it has to totally be in line or add something, or I don't really know what I'm talking about. But
it's funny. No, but it's funny that he did like the Girl Scouts uniforms.
Oh, did he? Yes, he did.
Avis?
Yeah.
Was it Avis? It was an airline as well.
That's true.
But I guess those have a sort of special status, if you like.
And I guess also there is a long tradition of designers doing, say, I think Avis is a car rental, isn't it? But
oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so. But there's a long tradition of designers doing airline, stewardesses, as they would have been called, and uniforms. So I think that's not unusual. Yeah, I think that was probably, people would have been familiar with that, but. Yeah, I guess you do need to know more about JCPenney. What was the thing about it? Yeah.
What's their status? And I'm just so interested in the Mary Quant link because she was really good with licensing deals and things, wasn't she?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways she had a diffusion line, so quite early on, I guess.
Like the ginger group.
Yeah,
stuff.
The ginger, exactly. And then I'm not so sure. Yeah, I do wonder when people become more canny about this whole thing, or when it changes. But it definitely didn't do anything. It wasn't a problem for her at all. The opposite, I think. But then it's sort of different. A British designer doing something for an American department store. Maybe it would have been different if she'd done something for a British department store. I don't know.
Well, also, I don't know if we just need to know more about what JCPenney's status was, because also she's more kind of youth-led and pop culture and whereas although he was kind of pop culture, it's like luxe pop culture, not down on the street pop culture. And I guess they're not exactly a department store, they're like this huge chain store, I think.
True.
And maybe they too much were seen as representing middle America and not fashiony fashion.
Yeah, and what I've seen of them, which isn't much, looked like mail order catalogs. So that must be quite a big part of it as well. Yeah.
But when you think of like now the Target collaborations and how popular those are, or they seem to be from what you can find out here, because we don't have Target, but I guess we've had decades of evolution of those kind of collaborations, and as you say, awareness of brands, awareness of high fashion.
I think maybe that was another thing. The film seemed to show mainly sort of evening wear, and
that's true.
And I guess that probably gives the wrong impression. You know more there.
Well, I mean his amazing suede shirt dresses and gorgeous car coats, like really great day wear, as well as the slinky evening wear. So he is someone who you feel it does make perfect sense. And I think, although I really think it's problematic, the whole idea that fashion is democratized is problematic, I do think he genuinely wanted to reach a wider audience. Because I was wondering as well, like, how much did people know Halston at the time, like outside fashion world.
Yeah.
But then I suppose if he did Girl Scouts uniforms, and I'm sure he did luggage, and I'm sure there were, and like his perfume and
Yes.
sunglasses and things. But maybe I wonder what his kind of brand awareness was in the greater population.
Yeah, I wonder too.
Yeah. But it's so awful when he loses his name. It's like I can't really bear it at that point.
Yeah, and also the person who was interviewed from the corporation, I don't know whether it was Norton Simon or yet another one. I lost track a little bit.
I completely lost track of who owned what at what point.
But at some point, that one man very pointedly recalls a meeting with Halston and where he called him Roy several times.
Oh, God, that was so just mean and childish and horrible.
Yeah.
And he's still so proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was odd.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, that was really nasty. And I feel like it must be such a weird dislocation of your identity that your name has gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it ended quite sadly.
It all gets very, very tragic, and well, obviously it does at the end. But I really enjoyed the film. I found it really interesting to see the clips. I think it has really good visuals, even though the kind of framing device is problematic. But he is just so kind of enigmatic in the middle of all of it.
Yeah. I really like that they used a lot of clips, almost like the outtakes. Maybe that was partly also because they didn't have that much and then they needed to do that. But I like that there was quite a lot him talking before the actual filming began or afterwards.
And also that bit where he makes all the models walk back into the room again.
Yes.
And it's not even for a fashion show. It's just them collecting in a room.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like he's this arch stage manager, but then that all starts to break down as the corporation takes over and is stage managing him.
Yeah, and probably a perfectionist as well, having to do everything himself.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work well in that sort of world, probably.
No, absolutely not. But again, it's like those kind of practices weren't embedded enough within the fashion system, perhaps, for it to be obvious that you don't do that yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, it was very interesting to see it.
Yeah, it was definitely very interesting and lots of things to follow up on.
Definitely. We need to know about Jason Penny.
That's the main thing, I think.
I love Halston forever, and I'll love Liza forever for being a true best friend.
Yeah, and Elsa.
Oh, my God, Elsa.
Yeah, we need to start saving up for some of her jewellery.
I have got 2 Elsa Peretti rings.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You'd know them if you saw them because I wear them a lot. But I would very much like a bone calf. And I think both of us would do well with diamonds by the yard.
Yeah, you would. We definitely would.
I mean, I've got the list in my head already.
Yeah, I saw some, not bone, is it bean as well that she does? I saw some clip-on earrings.
Nice too.
They were very nice.
Okay, well, we'll start our collective fund. More Elsa Peretti in our lives.
Yeah.
And just rewatching the clips with her because she is just amazing.
Yes.
And those huge glasses.
Glasses, exactly.
We should both get huge glasses.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you soon then.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.